Hello and welcome everyone. I'd like to say good afternoon or good morning or good evening, depending on your location in the world. I'm Eve Fabros, one of the online marketing managers with our Strategic Alliance program. And we have people attending from all over the world for today's webinar, Meet 3D Mail Results, Opening the Vault to Direct Mail. Our presenter today is the president of 3D Mail Results, Travis Lee, and he is internationally known as an expert in getting direct mail delivered and opened. Everyone who is registered for this webinar will get a recording emailed to them within 24 hours, and we'll also provide a Vimeo video within the next few days should the replay to go to not work on your system. We're planning to reserve the last 15 minutes for a Q&A period, so we'll keep the entire presentation to just under an hour or less. And I'd like to just go over a few housekeeping rules regarding the usage of the GoToWebinar control panel that you should see in your right upper corner of your screen. Use the red arrow to hide or expand the control panel. And throughout this webinar, please feel free to type in any questions you have in the chat window at the bottom of the control panel. I'll plan to call out the questions so that Travis can answer them during the Q&A time frame. Now, without further delay, I'd like to pass you on to 3D Mail Results President, Travis Lee.
Thanks, Eve. Well, thanks for having me on, and thanks for all our coaches on the line today who decided to dial in. I don't know what it's like in the rest of the country or rest of the world, but we have beautiful weather up here in Seattle. So if you're inside today, thanks for coming in, or maybe you're on a laptop now and outside on your deck. I don't know. With technology, you can be just about anywhere. So glad to be on the call today, Eve, and thanks for that introduction. As she said, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in into the chat bar there, and we'll get to them. We typically answer them at the end because oftentimes you'll have a question now, and that'll maybe get answered in 2 or 3 or 10 or 15 minutes. So, and then Eve will kind of keep track of those, and the popular ones she'll ask me, and the ones that maybe need some clarifying we'll get to at the end. And so, as she said, we're gonna rock and roll here for about 45 to 50 minutes, leave about 10 or 15 minutes at the end for questions. I don't plan on going over an hour for you, so I may talk kind of fast. I'm going to get through this. Got a lot to share with you, so I'm going to get through this, some of this beginning part pretty quick, which is kind of an intro and an overview of 3D Mail. And then I've got some what I like to call show and tell items, if you will, some case studies from our customers and our clients, everything from other coaches and consultants to brick and mortar businesses, to B2B businesses. So we're going to really cover all of it. And my goal here is twofold for you guys, you coaches on the call today. Number one is that you can get some ideas to grow your coaching and consulting businesses. That's the first goal. The second goal is to kind of introduce you to some of the stuff that you could be, when appropriate, referring to your coaching clients. So as you're uncovering their needs and uncovering what they can do to grow their business, if direct mail and 3D mail is one of those things that you uncover, then you now have a source to give to them. So again, teach you guys what we can do to help you, and then that next step is to teach your coaching clients as well. So we're going to move right along. So who am I? Eve kind of gave me an introduction here. My name is Travis Lee. I'm the co-founder and president of 3D Mail. I started the business with my father in 2007. And our goal, our unique selling proposition is we help businesses increase their ROI with creative, unique, and clutter-busting 3D mail products. So that's our goal. We want to help business owners increase their return on investment with their direct marketing and specifically their direct mail. I'm also a marketing strategist. I do a lot of consulting myself with my clients. I do a lot of speaking. Not so much on the webinars, though I'm not completely new to a webinar. Most of my stuff is from the stage, but I do enough of these webinars to be dangerous at the controls, and we also do quite a bit of copywriting here as well. And at last count, we've helped over 7,500 business owners improve the response to their direct mail. So pretty wide variety of businesses, and you'll see a lot of those as we move forward. Like I said, in the show and tell section, I've got, I think, a pretty wide variety of businesses, so we're going to go there. And then lastly, I'm obviously a very proud papa. On the left there is my 3-year-old son, Carson, who just is finishing up his first year of T-ball. And completely unbiased opinion, he's the best hitter in the league. And then, of course, there's my newest addition, or our newest addition. That's Whitney. She is 5 weeks old. She was born on May 15th. So we're happy to have her along as well. And so in addition to running the business, my family is by far the most important thing, and so I like to throw that up there as well, so you guys kind of know where I'm coming from. Next, we know Action Coach, and we've been working with Action Coach now. We've been officially a strategic partner now for, I believe, 11 or 12 months. I think I was first introduced to Sherry about this time last year. But we know what you guys are doing. We understand you. We understand your clients. So this relationship is something that's been ongoing now. I had the fortune of being at the Americas concert in Las Vegas. I believe that was the end of January. So some of you I may have met there. Just some of the work we've done. We've worked with Sherry at the global office. So we've done direct mail packages for her before. In fact, we sent out right arms because she would give her right arm to meet with that prospect. So we sent out, I think it was 115 right arms about 8 months ago. I want to say it was last fall. So we've done that. We've worked with Kevin Weir, who's up here in Spokane, who's on the eastern side of the state from me. We've worked with Bill Gillian in North Carolina. He's done some work with us. Chad Rudolph here in my neck of the woods. I actually got to know Chad through another group. It wasn't through the Action Coach group, but then obviously that's his business. I got to know him then. It was kind of through a B&I group. So we've done a lot of work in the Action Coach world. Probably more importantly is we've done a lot of work, and the work that we do the most with is with coaches and consultants, whether they're selling their coaching or consulting time, whether they have actual products to sell, whether they're putting on preview seminars or boot camps or anything like that. They really are. It's our number one niche is working with coaches and consultants who are selling their knowledge in some way, shape, or form. Like I said, it's our number one niche. It's the niche that we work with the most. So we've got a lot of experience with that. So I've got, like I said, a handful of examples today just from the coaching and consulting world. So Eve, here's our first question that I wanted to pose to the group, our first poll question, and that is how much direct mail do you currently send to promote your business? So not your client's business. I have a typo in there. I should have read this a little bit closely. How much direct mail do you currently send to promote your business? So I'm just curious who is using that. So if we've got that poll open. Is that open, Eve? Can you hear me? Okay, perfect.
Yes,
I'm new to the poll.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I may ask you about the poll
cool.
as we move on. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect.
So we've got about 83%. Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
So everyone go ahead and
right.
click. So I'll go ahead and close out these polls now because it looks like everybody has voted, and I will share the results. So let me just read them to you because I don't know if you can see that, Travis. So it's about 50-50. So some, but not very much, and another 50%, it's a vital part of my marketing mix.
Good. So 50% of you are using it a lot, and that's from a guy who is a direct mail person. That's a good number to hear. And that's actually not surprising. Direct mail is something that most businesses aren't using. So to hear coaches and consultants using it doesn't surprise me because they get it when it comes to a marketing mix. So that's very good. Perfect. So that gives us an idea. This is a rhetorical question to answer to yourself. And if I was on stage in front of you, I'd ask you to shout out numbers. But how many marketing messages do you think the average American sees in one day? And I guess we could have made this a poll question. But so answer to yourself. And this is typically what happens is when I'm on stage, I'll say this, and someone says 500, and I say not enough. And someone says 1,000, and I say not enough. And then someone finally says 20,000, and I say, well, that's too much. And the answer actually from the most recent studies I've seen is 3,800 messages. The average American will see 3,800 marketing messages each and every day. And if that number may seem like a lot until you look at something like this picture up here of Times Square. If you think about all the messages you see, so think about when you wake up in the morning and the alarm goes off, right, and there are the radio commercials on. And then maybe you watch the news while you're getting ready. Those are all commercials. And then maybe you get in your car and you drive to your office. So if you're think of all the signs you see, the golden arches, the sandwich boards for the printer next door to you. All of those are marketing messages. And if you add them all up over the course of a year, we will see almost 1.4 million messages each year. So that's what we're up against as marketers of our businesses and as marketers and helping our clients market is we have got to bust through that clutter. We have got to be the 1 in 1.4 million. So how do you bust through the clutter? Obviously, probably one of the easiest ways, not the most inexpensive way, in fact probably the most expensive way, but one of the easiest way to cut through the clutter is to buy a commercial on the Super Bowl, right? However many hundreds of millions of eyeballs are on the Super Bowl, you can certainly cut through the clutter there and reach a whole bunch of people. Probably not going to work for most of us. If there's someone on the call that can afford a Super Bowl ad, give me a call and we'll create a direct mail program for you like that. All right. Next one you could do. You could when I looked at the 2013 spring sweeps numbers, and American Idol was the most expensive time slot for commercials. In the fall, I believe it was like 60 minutes because we had a whole bunch of campaign stuff going on. But for the spring, the most expensive 30-second time slot was American Idol consistently. The numbers fluctuate a little bit. So if you've got the money to do a Super Bowl ad, if you got the number to do an ad during American Idol, by all means, and you think you can cut the clutter and get attention, go for it. But for most of us, that's probably not going to work. So how can you stand out? How can you be remembered as the 1 in 1.387 million that they're going to see that year? That's our challenge as business owners and then as consultants trying to get our getting our coaching clients to be seen and heard. Our challenge is to be that 1 in 1.3 million. And so my promise to you is before we're finished, you'll know how to be a 1 in 1,387,000 marketer. So I hope that sounds good to everybody. So here's our next poll question, Eve. Similar, but I want to know how much direct mail do your coaching clients currently send? So we talked about what you send, and now we're going to talk about what they're sending. And so just think about all of your coaching clients that you have right now. If you want to go into the past and think about how many of them are using it, but just how much direct mail are they currently sending? If you've got an idea, why don't we go ahead? Looks like that poll's open. I just got a little note here that it was. Perfect. So we'll give them a second to answer. Now my guess is, I can't see the results, but my guess is it's going to be a little less than the 50% we had with the coaching group, with your own businesses.
Yeah. Just a few more of you, if you could vote, please. Pick the answer that you feel is best for you and your coaching business. All right. There might be some people stuck because I think it stopped at. Oh, there we go. All right. So I'm going to close out these polls now. Thank you, everyone, for participating and share those results. So 22% say none. 33% say some, but not very much. 11%, it's a vital part of their marketing mix. And 33% is it varies client to client.
Okay. So we're not quite as high, which doesn't surprise me. And that, like I said before, most businesses don't really see the power of direct mail. And when I say direct mail, I'm not talking about just 3D mail, which we'll get to here in a second, but just direct mail in general. So that's to be honest with you, that's about on par with what I see when I go out speaking. So let's get to the meat of the order now. What is 3D mail? What is this stuff? When we say 3D, we literally mean three-dimensional mail. So it's mail that has length, width, and depth. And if you think about most of the mail that you get at the office, at the home, it's flat, right? It's an envelope. It's a number 10 envelope with maybe if they got really creative, they hand addressed your envelope. Most of it's in a window, right? So think of all the credit card offers you get, which admittedly have decreased significantly over the last 4 or 5 years, but think to like 2004, 2005, how many credit card offers you got. It all pretty much looked the same, right? If we have any serious students of direct mail on the call, other people call it lumpy mail, some people call it dimensional mail. We call it three-dimensional mail. That's just our little take on it. That's our position on it. So if you've been around a while, you've heard lumpy mail, you've heard dimensional mail. It's all the same thing. We just call it 3D mail. And we really classify 3D mail in 2 different groups. So we have what we call grabbers and enclosures, and that's an envelope with something inside. And so this is an example of one, and we're not going to go too depth. This isn't a show and tell example. This is just kind of show you. This is a sample that we did for an insurance agent who had a whole bunch of people who had home insurance but didn't have auto insurance. So we sent out a little Matchbox car and a little envelope. We actually used a clear envelope here that you can see, so you can see through it. It's picture a real nice Ziploc bag. It's nicer than that, but essentially it's a Ziploc bag. It zips the top. Really cool piece, really successful piece for him, and it was really good. So that's a grabber or enclosure. Here's another one we did. This was for a high-end furniture and mattress store in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which I believe is a suburb of Philadelphia. If there's anybody on the call from Philly, they can confirm that for me. But so this was a St. Patrick's Day mailing that we did. So this was just in March, again for a mattress store, and we stuck a little toy shamrock in there. So it's, as you can see there, same idea. We used the clear envelope. There's no magic to the clear envelope. I just picked a couple that we utilized that for so you could see the thing inside. If I used a regular number 10 envelope, you wouldn't be able to see the thing inside on a two-dimensional screen. So wanted you to see that there. So with envelopes with something in it, the second class of 3D mail we would call a self-mailing 3D mailers. And these are things like mini trash cans. So this is really cool. This is a little trash can. It's about the size of a cup of coffee. So picture your coffee mug in your house. Obviously, it doesn't have a handle. It's plastic, not ceramic, so it's much lighter. But you know, maybe 6 inches tall, maybe 4 inches wide at the top. And we actually mail these. We don't put these in a box. We don't put them in an envelope. I'll take my little spotlight here. I don't think I have a trash can example during my show and tell, so I'll show you what we do here. We actually put our mailing label right here, just a regular old sticky label. We put our postage, whatever that may be. Sometimes it's live stamps, sometimes it's the little meter strips, and we just put those right on the trash can, and we drop that thing right in the mail. So it arrives. Your prospects or clients get a trash can literally in the mail. We've used little messages in a bottle. All right, so the same idea there. We don't put this in a box or anything. We put our label on the outside, we put our postage on the outside, and we drop that thing in the mail with a little letter curled up. I think I do have an example of this one later, so we'll go on to the next one. We've used bank bags before. So this is a real vinyl bank bag. It's about 10 inches wide, about 5.5 inches tall. I do have an example of this one in here, so we're going to skip over that one here relatively quick. So basically, the bottom line with 3D mail is it looks different than everything else you see in your mailbox, and it stands out from the clutter. That's what we're looking to do, is stand out from the clutter. We don't want to look like everybody else in the mailbox. That's the most important part. So now that you've got an idea of what 3D mail is, I want to know if you personally or your clients, so that this does say you, but I want to know if you or your clients now have ever used anything like 3D mail, whether it's an enclosure, whether it's a self-mailing piece. I'll give you a very good example. One that was very, very popular for many years was a piece of string, because you tie the piece of string around your fingers so you don't forget to blah, 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 and that was the message. So even that would be considered 3D mail. And that one, I think Gary Halbert, again, if there's any serious direct mail students, would know that. So let's go ahead and open that folder. Oh, looks like you already opened it. Perfect.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, it looks like everyone's voted. I'm going to close and share the results.
Perfect.
So 30% say yes and 70% say no.
Okay. That's, again, a little higher than most groups. We have a pretty forward-thinking group. And again, that doesn't surprise me with the training that you guys get and the kind of marketing you guys do. And I know Brad is a big proponent of this stuff as well. So that doesn't surprise me with this group. So very good. So most of you have, I shouldn't say most of you, a large percentage of you have not only heard of it, have used it. So good. We're in a good spot then. So why does 3D mail work so well? So first off, it overcomes the biggest hurdle we face in direct mail. And frankly, it's the biggest hurdle we face in any kind of marketing. But in direct mail, it's getting your letter opened and read. It overcomes that biggest hurdle. I have yet to find a business owner or a marketer who sent a piece of mail in an envelope, or what doesn't matter, who sent any kind of piece of mail and said, you know what, I sent this piece of direct mail, nobody read it, nobody looked at it, but man, I sure had a great positive return on my investment. If that's you, you'll be the first one, right? So, and that's with any kind of marketing. Television, radio, billboards, yellow pages, inserts into your newspaper, inserts into magazines. It does not matter. Well, the biggest hurdle we have is being seen or heard or read, and 3D mail does that. Because if you, as you can see from that picture, if that trash can shows up in your mailbox, you're not, I mean, it's going to be, you're going to read it. I mean, that's what it's going to look like when it shows up. And so any message that isn't open can't be acted upon. Second, it has to be on top of the pile. And this may sound like a small thing, but it really isn't. And it has to be on top of the pile, because if you put anything else on top, it's going to slide over, so now you don't have a stack. But, and this is it's a psychological thing here, and that is when people go to the mailbox knowing that a good percentage of that stuff is going to be stuff to sell them, right? Yet we still, the last number I read, I think it was 94 or 95% of people all get their mail the day it arrives, right? So it's not accumulating for 2 or 3 days before they go get it. The average American, 90-some-odd%, is still going and getting the mail the day it shows up, and we're not waiting for it. So even though they know, and they know a lot of it's going to be junk, they still go out there and get it. And so if it has to be on the top of the pile, that means it's the first thing that's looked at, and it's the first thing that's read. And that's a big psychological advantage. So by the time they get through that stack of mail, even though they may only spend 30 seconds with it, they actually have like sales fatigue if it's a whole bunch of ads that day, right? So if you're the first one to be looked at and read, you have a huge advantage in that. So again, if a stack doesn't stack, it can't be a stack, so it has to be on top. And 3D mail ensures that your message is on top. So that's kind of the why we use it. The whole idea of basically demanding that your message be heard or read, and demanding that your message be the first one that they see. Anybody that has sold door to door, you don't want to be like the guy an hour behind the guy selling door to door, right? So if you got if you think about 30 years ago, the guy selling encyclopedias door to door, you don't want to be an hour behind him selling a vacuum, right? So you want to be the guy first. So to put it into a face-to-face selling terms, we want to be the first ones. Something that always comes up, so I'll address it here, is the B2B and consumer marketing world. So we get a lot of questions on that. During show and tell, I've got, I believe, 3 consumer and 3 business-to-business examples, so we're going to show you those as well. The biggest thing is don't fall into the trap of they're 2 vastly different things. Because one is B2B and one is B2C, that they're drastically different. And frankly, they're not. There's some very small differences, but not many. In fact, we grew our first business in the B2B world. I live in the B2B world right now. I'm obviously not selling very many to moms down the street without a business. If mom down the street has a business, great, right? But so we grew this business using B2B, and we actually grew our original business. I mentioned that I started this business with my father, Keith. And he still owns it. It's a business that sells retail supplies to retail stores. So shelving and boxes and bags and ribbon and gift wrap and tags and glass shelving. Anything you need to have a retail store, we have it. And we've used these same ideas, maybe not the same exact pieces, but the same 3D principles from everything to mom and pop shops on Main Street. It's John and Sally Doe, and they've got 1 employee, and that's it. And everything to huge retailers doing hundreds of millions of dollars per year, and that is not an exaggeration. We have a handful of some of the biggest retail stores in the world use us, and they've all gone kind of through the same kind of marketing. It's evolved over the years, but they've all seen it and reacted to it and bought from it. So one thing I will address here before we get too far, and that's the elephant in the room, and that's the cost versus the results, right? So everyone here is probably thinking, yeah, 3D mail costs more. And yes, it can cost more, but not always. There's certainly some things that we can send that add very, very little cost, but I'll be honest with you, most of it is going to add a cost to your direct mail. However, and I probably don't have to tell anybody on this call this, all we're really concerned about is our return on investment. That's our number 1 priority, is the return on our investment. If we spend $1,000 on postcards but nobody responds, then it doesn't matter how much we spent on it, right? If we spend $4,000 on a 3D mail campaign, and that's a big campaign. That's a really big campaign. But we get back $8,000 or $10,000 or $12,000. Well, that's infinitely better than the postcards that didn't generate anything. And that's not to bash postcards. I use them. But just to give you the idea that all we're really concerned about is our return on investment. So my advice to you and to your clients and anybody else who wants to use 3D mail is to start with smaller, laser-targeted lists and then send them multiple touches. So instead of maybe having that list of 1,000 and send it one time and pray for the best, let's maybe cut that list to 300 and send them 3 pieces of mail, or whatever your number is. That number may seem really big to some people. That number may seem really small to some people. But whatever that number is, some people say I can only mail 100. Some of our bigger clients say, well, I'm not mailing anything less than 5,000, right? So that's just the way it is. Whatever your number is, start with smaller, laser-targeted lists instead of multiple mailings. You'll get a better result versus the shotgun marketing I just described. And then here's a big one. Send to only segments of the list, right? And that's big. So maybe you have your own in-house list. Maybe you've got, and this is an oversimplification, but maybe you've got people who buy peanut butter and not jelly. Well, don't send them all the same thing, right? If the people who buy peanut butter don't buy jelly, send them the stuff to buy jelly. Again, oversimplification, but a lot of business owners miss that, and they try to kind of do a one-size-fits-all piece for everybody on their list, whether it's an in-house list, whether it's a purchase list, whether it's a lead-generated list. There are biases within that list, and so if you can find them and put the odds in your favor, that's great. Bottom line is, what do you got to do? You've got to test it, and that's what I encourage people to do. Is if you think you've got a campaign that could use 3D mail, test it. Find a sliver of that list, find a portion of that list, and give it a test. So our number one goal here is to cut through the clutter. And so my promise to you is how to be a 1 in 1.387 million marketer today. So I've got a ton of examples here. We've got about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to go through them. So I'm going to go through these fairly detailed, and hopefully I get through all of them. But the first one here is actually, this guy is Steve Clark. He's actually a sales trainer. He's not in the action coach world, but he does stuff very, very similar. And he's a sales trainer in North Florida. And he actually targeted insurance agents and financial advisors. So he went after a group specific to that group of there. It was a $97 event, so they could come in. I believe it was a one-day event, but it was the front door to more coaching. So it was, essentially it was a preview event for $97, to put it into kind of action coach terms. Is that he wanted these people to come in for a sales and marketing event, come from 8 to 5, and then at 5 o'clock it was, there was the offer then to do the more coaching with them. And hosting live events like this is one of the quickest and easiest way to ID and sell prospects into coaching, right? Because you get them for 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, however long you want to do it, and you get to tell them all that you know. And by the time you're done, you're the obvious answer, right? I don't think this isn't groundbreaking news for anybody on this call, but this is a great way to do this. So Steve actually used this bank bag, and I showed you this one at the beginning. So here we'll go into a little bit more detail. I'm going to grab my spotlight here. So again, you saw the front, the printed side of the bank bag. So what we've done here is all we did is we took the mailing label. This is obviously a made-up address, so don't worry about that. But we took the mailing label, we stick it on the unprinted side. We take the postage, we put it on the unprinted side as well. We trifold our letter, stick it inside, and we just zip that zipper shut. And that's all we do. And so when you get this in the mail, it actually shows up with your prospect, with your client, whoever it may be, with a bank bag sitting in their mailbox. Whether that's at the kitchen table or the conference table at the office, it shows up like this. And so this was a very, very successful piece for him. He's actually used this a couple of times. Here's the letter. Again, you'll get a replay of this, so if you want to go in and read some of the copy he has in here. So attend the most important insurance and financial advisor money-making marketing summit and receive $381 in sales tools. And so this went, he JV'd this with another trainer. So between the two of them, they actually had a pretty darn good-sized list of just that one insurance and financial planner niche. So it worked out very, very well for him. And in fact, I've got a video here, and so even I tested this before everyone got on the call. So I'm going to start this video. So first time I've done video on a webinar, but it should work. I think it's going to work just fine. So here's Steve. I'm going to let him take it away.
Hi, I'm Steve Clark, the CEO of New School Selling. We've worked with 3D Mail Results now for about 4 years. We've done a number of mailings. We recently did one in which we did the bank bag for the second time, and it was even more effective than the first time. In fact, we've got an $18 return for every dollar that we invested in doing the mailing with the bank bag. And every time we do something with them, it produces multiple return on our investment.
So that was Steve's success with that. And did that come through okay, Eve? Did everyone hear? Do you think everyone heard that?
Yeah, I think so. Everyone
Okay,
should have heard that. I heard it fine.
Good. Okay. Good. So I'm glad I dipping my toe into a little bit more advanced technology didn't hurt me. So, so that was a preview seminar, as you can see. His goal again was to get them in the door and sell them into more coaching. And for him, excuse me, I just took a drink of water. For him, it was to sell them. He was mainly, now he had some other people there, but it was mainly marketing managers to go in and help their sales team. That was mainly what it is. But he had some one-on-one people. He had some more smaller-ish businesses where it was maybe just him and a couple people. But that was what he wanted to do. Here's another one we did. This was a guy named Perry Marshall. If there's anybody on the call who is big into internet marketing or comes from an internet marketing world, Perry is one of the, he was one of the pioneers in the early 90s on internet marketing and is still really big in that world. And so he does what I would call a boot camp. Essentially a live seminar boot camp. He called it a 2-day intensive live boot camp. And this was sent to select graduates and alumni of his coaching group. So if you went through a coaching group or you bought a product or you would come to another boot camp, this was like the next step. So for those of you who may have who have clients already, those of you who maybe have had clients that come and now you're not working with them anymore, this is a great way to get them re-involved and re-energized. So his goal here was to, one, make money on the seminar, right? So a little different than Steve. Steve, his main goal was to get him into coaching after the preview event, right? He wanted to cover some of his costs. He obviously made some money on the bank bag, but his big goal was to get him into coaching afterwards. Perry was a little bit different. He had some. This was a really high-end boot camp. So if you ever want to do a 2-day or multi-day event where you're teaching a lot, maybe you have some other speakers come in. This was the philosophy he took, and so it's a great way to re-engage your past clients, and that's exactly what he did. It only went to people. It didn't go to leads. It didn't go to prospects. It only went to people who had purchased some other product from him in the past or had worked with them one-on-one. Perry, when he started, did a lot of working one-on-one. And he actually sent a silver platter. This one probably shouldn't be new to anybody. This one's been around, I can trace it back to about 20 years, the use of the silver platter. If there's people that have been around longer, it's probably been even longer than that, but I can trace this one back to the early 1990s, the first time I saw it, or saw it being used. But he, again, just the silver platter, and I think I have his headline on the next page. Yeah, here it is. So this is the headline he used for his later. Come to my man cave in Chicago and get marketing know-how delivered to you on a silver platter. And this was a very, very successful piece for Perry. And again, I don't have a video of Perry on this one like I did for Steve. We've actually done this one. We've actually done almost this exact same pitch twice. We did it in about 2007, and then this particular one we just did last year, about a year ago now. I think it was May of 2012 we did it. So he's actually gone back to the well on this. I don't know if it went to the same list. Perry's a pretty savvy marketer, I doubt that it went to the same list twice. Probably went to different people on those lists, but again, so marketing know-how delivered you on a silver platter. So as you'll notice here, I'll grab my little spotlight. So a little different here. This is what we would call an enclosure. So we use a padded envelope here because we don't want the silver platter breaking through. Nice big nice big mailing label on there. Here's the letter right there. And again, that silver platter. So we just fold that letter in half, and we literally stick it on the silver platter and stick the whole thing inside. Very cool piece. Very fun, creative way to bust through the clutter. All right, here's another guy in the coaching world. And he actually does what I would call done-for-you services. So if there's anybody that doesn't know what that means, he basically, there's people who tell you how to do stuff, and then there's people who will do it for you. So in the internet marketing world, there's a lot of people that will tell you how to get SEO and tell you how to do this, and here's the big notebook on how to do it, and here's what you want to do. Jimmy, this is actually James Nicholas, he goes by Jimmy, actually does that stuff for you. So he does internet marketing, mobile websites, SEO, personal URLs, pearls. Basically, if it has to do with the web, that's what Jimmy's doing. So there's his website, Easy Web Creation, if you want to check him out. If you got clients who could use some internet marketing help, he's a great guy. We've worked with him in the past as well. But he's got a monthly continuity program. So these people are paying, I think it was $97 a month for product A, and he actually wanted them to come back to get product B. What the product is doesn't matter. So we want them to come back for more. So these are actually existing customers that he did this to get them to come back and buy more stuff from him. So what did he do? He mailed a boomerang. So this is what the envelope looks like. This is a little different than the one Jimmy used, but the principles are the same. So this is a number 12 envelope. It's a little oversized. The boomerang doesn't quite fit in the number 10 envelope, so we use a number 12 envelope, slightly oversized. Put the client's name right there in the middle. Put your return address. Put the postage up there. What's really cool about this is the envelope is oversized, so you're already standing out by being an oversized envelope. And again, it's hard to tell here, but that rigid boomerang in there really does show. And so I think I have a picture of the boomerang here, I hope. Yep, so that's what the whole package looked like. So we get to put the boomerang in there. We've got the oversized envelope and the letter. So his total cost was just a tick under $573. Did over $4,800 in revenue. Got an 8.4 return on his investment on this. And so here's another video from Jimmy. We're getting close on time, so I'm going to cruise through some of these, but I want you to hear Jimmy tell his story here real quick.
Hey, Jimmy Nicholas here. I'm the owner of JimmyMarketing.com. We're a local marketing company out of Waterford, Connecticut. Sorry. And I recently did a boomerang mailing, not to get my customers that haven't done business with us, but to get them back. We have a continuity program where they renew every month automatically, but I wanted to get them back in for other services instead of just their continuity program. So I thought, why not send them the boomerang to get them to come back in? And I put basically the headline, taken directly from Travis's swipe file, their name, we really want you to come back, and did some copy doodles with we miss you. And I did 4 different offers for them to come back. It was a 1-page mailing, and that was it. And I want to share with you some of the results that we had with it. We sent out 243 of these, and we had 8 responses, 7 of which turned into actual closed business for approximately a 3% return rate there. Now the postage cost me $473.80. The clear bag, we sent that in a clear bag with the boomerang. I didn't even know you could send mail in a clear bag, but I was on the phone with Travis and kind of asking, what do we send this in? And he suggested, why don't you send it in a clear bag so they see the boomerang, and it's just tremendous. That was $22.64. The paper and ink was $25.47, and the boomerangs were $50.94 for a total cost of $572.90. It brought in over $4,826 of revenue, which is a return on investment of 742.38%. This was my first 3D mailing I had ever done, and it was, extremely, extremely successful. We're still getting orders in from it. It's been about a month. We put an expiration date on it, so we're still taking some of them in, but it has been a tremendous investment. We followed up with another mailing, the Compass mailing, and I have nothing great to say about 3D mailing.
All right, so that was Jimmy. So we've gone through a couple. Now we've looked at 3 examples of various different kinds of coaches and consultants doing this. I want to show a couple, more traditional brick and mortar businesses. This is going to be the stuff now that you can take to your coaching clients now. So here's one, Dr. Greg Nielsen, who's in Waterford, Wisconsin, little tiny town. I want to say there's like 8,000 people there. It's 70, 80 miles outside of Milwaukee, little tiny town. And what he did is he had a lead-generated list. So these were leads in his system. It's not a cold list, but leads in his system that he sent a mailing piece to. And what did he send? He sent our message in a bottle. So this is a very, very cool piece. So I showed it to you at the beginning. I've got 2 more examples after this, so I'm going to start talking a little bit faster to make sure we get through all of them. But this was a great piece for him, the message in a bottle. So I'm going to click through. I'm going to grab my little spotlight here. So the first thing you notice, this bottle is about 8.5 inches tall with the little cap on the thing. So when you do a your traditional 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, you actually want to fold it in half and fold it the hamburger way. Since my wife is a teacher, I'll drop a teacher line. So fold it in half so you get 5 1/4 by what would that be? Whatever, you know what I mean there. So you fold it in half and then you roll it up and you stick it inside. What's cool about these bottles, you actually don't open the top, right? That's glued in, it's shrink wrapped, they're never going to get it open. So you can actually see the crease here. So you actually open the bottom here. And so what we do now is, because we don't want to confuse people, is we put twist bottom to open, and it's there, and you can see the Doc kind of goes by Doc Nielsen. That's kind of what he's known as in our world. Uses a little highlighter here to highlight it, their name. And here we go. And here's what the letter looked like when you open it up inside. So very cool piece. You can see he kind of used the Are You Lost, the message in a bottle theme all the way through. So he's got, the picture of the desert island. He's got this is his assistant, Miss Steffi. So all the letters actually come from Miss Steffi. Actually, Miss Steffi. I can read it on the letter there. So very cool piece. He puts little prescription vouchers in there for their $25 new patient visit. Very, very cool piece for the doc. And so what he tells me is he consistently gets between 25 and 32% response rate, sending out, and again, this is not big numbers. He only sends out a few hundred each month. He did this, I want to say he did this every month for about 4 months. He hit different segments of his list. We haven't done it in a while now because we don't want to overuse it. So you don't want to overuse the same piece. So you don't want to send a message in a bottle and then 2 weeks later send another message in a bottle. We want to change the message up a little bit. And here's the note that he sent me. This was, I believe, 2011 was the last time we did this. But again, he still used all kinds of different stuff from us. So the bottle by far has generated the most response of any mailer I've done. We make $2,055 for every $100 invested in this promotion. And like a good guy from Wisconsin, that buys some serious grilled cheese sandwiches for the family. So always a cheesehead up there in Wisconsin is the doc. Here's another example I want to show you. And I call this one Finding the Hidden Treasure in Your Past Clients and Unconverted Leads. This is a retail store example now. So this is Stuart Spencer. He's from Advanced Ear Care in Laguna Woods, California. And he hosted a weekend event for his clients and prospects. So he went back to unconverted leads and past clients. All right, that's a biggie, not just people off the street. And the big one here I want to stress is the unconverted leads. That's a big thing. That's one. And so he's selling ear care, right? So it's a fairly big investment. People come in, they walk around, he captures name and addresses, they get fitted, but for whatever reason they don't pull the trigger. There is huge money to be made in unconverted leads. So just keep that in your back of your head for yourself and for your clients. So he actually sent out a treasure chest to his past clients and unconverted leads, and he did just over $80,000 in one weekend for a retail location. So this is what it looks like. So the treasure chest actually comes with a box. So this box is here. Again, mailing label, postage on the outside. You open it up, and he actually had a letter in here. So that's what it looked like when it arrived to the past clients and unconverted leads. That's what it looked like. And I'm going to actually have Spencer here take it away because he explains it a whole lot better than I do. And it didn't go. Hold on. Technology.
Hi, my name is Stuart Spencer. I'm in business Advanced Ear Care in Laguna Woods, California. And we just want to Travis's promotion with a little treasure chest. And we actually put a letter over the treasure chest with some little goodies inside the treasure chest, but we mailed it in blocks. So they had to bring the treasure chest in for us to open it up. We had a little price in there for them, and then they get in a big prize out front. So it was kind of an upgrade thing for our hearing aids. And we had a fantastic promotion. It worked out to be about $80,000 in sales off that one mailing. So, Travis, thank you very much.
So I don't know if you caught that. What he did is he actually sent so there was that sticky note that was on the outside, and it explained, this is locked. To redeem the prizes inside, you need to come to our customer appreciation event on these days between these hours, and we'll unlock it. And inside there could be anything from, I think there was $5 or $10 lunch vouchers, everything. I think his grand prize was like my memory's blanking on me now. It was either a cruise or 6 days in Hawaii or something along those lines. But the thing was, is they had to bring it to him locked. So they had to come to this thing to reveal their prize. And he was totally upfront. He said, there's one grand prize. Here's all the other prizes. But it got people to come to his retail location because that's what he wants. He needs foot traffic in order to sell these things. So that's what he wanted, was to get them into the store. So that was a big deal for him. Some of us that have the ability to sell, long range, I can sell that from anybody from here to Europe and Australia, and we do. But he needs foot traffic in the store. So to get those people to show up was huge for him. All right, I've got one more example. Then we're going to get to some Q&A here. We've gone over coaches and consultants. We've gone over a couple more traditional brick and mortar businesses with a chiropractor and a retail store. Here's an industrial B2B sales guy. I don't have time to show you his whole campaign. I'm just going to, he explains it in this video. It's about a minute and a half. His name's Walter. I'm just going to let Walter take it away. He's an industrial sales, B2B, very competitive.
My name is Walter Badger, and I'm the GKIC Marketer of the Year, and I'm here at Info Summit with 3D mail results, and I want to tell you all the success I've actually had with these guys. I've used their products many times, and it's actually part of what helped me become Marketer of the Year and earn that $1.1 million I talked about in my book. One of the latest success we've had was with their silver platter, and look, I'm in industrial sales. We are not in a sexy business. This is not something that people jump out and say, yeah, that's what I want to do. But the great news about that is that when we use something unique like these 3D pieces, it makes a huge difference in our income. So the silver platter, dude, it steps out, it stands out like you wouldn't believe. People do not expect to see this in their mailbox or a box coming to them with this, especially from an industrial sales guy. And so with the letters that these guys provide to me, I get to look like the hero because I look like I'm a great copywriter, and I'm not. I just put my name on it, steal their products, and send it to my clients. Money comes in the mail. So it's something I love doing, and I've used quite a few of their products here too. So I've used the silver platter works fantastic for us. It's got a real cool message with us.
So that was Walter. So as you can see, I hope I gave you a wide variety of businesses to look at here, both for your own coaching and consulting businesses, whether you want to put preview seminars or get people into your coaching groups or people in your one-on-one groups, your traditional brick and mortar businesses, so for your clients, and if you got B2B sales guys out there, boy, it works very, very well there. So Eve, why don't we do this? If there are any questions, why don't we do the questions now, and then I'll kind of tell them what I have that they can take advantage of after that. So let's do the questions if you're there, Eve.
Okay, yeah, I have just a few questions here. So many people wanted to know what's the most popular mailer that you've done and your clients that you sell, I guess, to your clients. What's the most popular one?
Yep, that's an easy one. Yep, the one that we sell the most pieces of, the ones that we sell to the most variety of businesses, and the ones that people use the most. So it's like you get a 3-for-1. There's the bank bag. That real vinyl bank bag is far and away the most popular piece we sell. We actually buy, we bring container loads of those over from China once or twice a year. So it is, I don't want to say, there is no one-size-fits-all mailing, if you will. There's no one piece that says, well, that's the one you have to mail. It doesn't matter who you are. The bank bag, though, is the piece that people use the most often. So, like, we'll hit different segments of their list with it, and has the most kind of universal appeal, if you will. Now, having said that, in working with your clients, when I work with clients one-on-one, when you're working with clients one-on-one, you're going to have to uncover the need and uncover the message. Like I said, we do a lot of work with coaches and consultants, And so coaches and consultants, I mean, you're obviously selling money, right? We're going to teach you how to run your business better, how to market, sales, management. We're going to teach you how to do all that stuff better so you can make more money. Really, that's really the bottom line. Have you ever heard the term selling money at a discount? But the bank bag has the most, again, the most universal appeal, and in terms of number of units sold is by far our biggest seller.
Okay, great. Thanks for that, Travis. Another question's come in from Indonesia. Usman has a question. What are the top 3 do's and don'ts in 3D direct mail?
Top 3 do. Well, let's start with the don't. Don't, and I kind of hit on this, don't try to find a one-size-fits-all message. So if you've got a list of 50,000 or 5,000, you can slice it too thin, but don't try to find a one-size-fits-all. As a marketer of your business, you're much better off having 2 or 3 slightly different campaigns running and targeting each one slightly different than you are having one big campaign. So that would be the first one. Number 2 is know your numbers. And I know you guys talk about this a lot because I've talked about it with Chad here in Seattle, and he harps on it a lot. You got to know your numbers. And by those numbers, I mean you got to know how much it costs you to get a client. How much it costs you to get a client. What is that average client worth over the course of 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, the lifetime value of that client. Know those numbers, because if you know those numbers, and I'll be, again, I'm probably not telling anybody this on this call anything new. Most people don't know their numbers, and they very much undervalue their customers. So they think a customer is worth $50, and they're really worth like $500. And so when you do the math and you realize, oh wow, this customer's worth $500 and not the $50 that I thought he was, that opens the door up to what you can do marketing-wise much, much more. It's hard to make it work if you only got a lifetime value of $50 to send something that may cost you $4. But if the lifetime value is $500 or more, do that. So don't try to do a one-size-fits-all. Do know your numbers. What's a couple others here? Those are the 2 biggest. Don't overuse it. I know that may sound funny. I will have people, and by overuse it, we kind of touched on this with Doc Nielsen. He used that message in a bottle to different segments of his list with a slightly different message each time, and then he was done with it. He put it on the shelf, and it might come back off the shelf now in another couple years. But don't think, okay, I can send this piece, and I can send the same exact piece 4 times in a row and expect it. You can use 3D mail 3 or 4 times, and we have programs that are 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, 10 steps. But don't, I will often tell clients, hey, I want to use this piece 3 times. No, well, let's find a different one. So I know he asked for 3 do's and 3 don'ts, but those would be the 3 big ones that I would look at, and especially knowing your numbers. That's, again, I don't think that's anything new with this group, but knowing your numbers and knowing what you can spend to get a client is huge.
Perfect. Thank you for that. We have another question from Johnny, and he's asking, what is the increased response rate with a phone follow-up? Do you also work with your clients doing phone follow-up to the direct mail piece, and do you know that increased response rate that people are getting?
I love the question because it's something that we've been teaching since we started this business, especially in the B2B world, especially in the, consumer world is, I'm no lawyer, so don't take it for face value. Consumer world is a little harder unless you have a relationship with them to pick up the phone and call. However, in the B2B world, we can still call until they tell us to stop. I don't have any firm numbers in front of me right now. I can get them if that guy wants to get a hold of me. We see a tremendous uptick in the B2B world, especially if it's more of a complex sale. You're not just calling them they're not just calling to order, a box of paper, right? You're selling software. You're selling managed IT. You're selling, I use 2 technology examples there. But in the B2B world, in the coaching world, to make that phone call, here's the script we teach. Send a bank bag on a Monday. It arrives on a Wednesday. Call on a Friday. Maybe the following Monday. Make sure you want to give yourself enough time to get there. That's the bottom line. And you say, "Hi, my name is Travis. I'm with Action Coach, and I sent you a bank bag in the mail the other day. Did you happen to get that?" Well, if it got delivered, yeah, they got it, right? And so usually the response you get is, "Oh yeah, I got that. That was kind of funny," or "Yeah, that actually got passed around the office. We all kind of got a chuckle out of it." I've got a great example. One of our biggest customers for years, big retail store. One of our sales reps here was having trouble getting to the new senior purchaser, because at that level they're working with senior purchasers who are buying for all the stores. And so they got the new senior purchaser, and she just could not get the phone call. She just could not get to reintroduce herself. And so the trash can that I showed you, we actually took a letter, very simple letter, just said, "Hi, my name is Ariane. We've been having real trouble connecting, and I'm your sales rep for this. And I know you've been getting a ton of mail since you took your new job, and it's probably all ending up in the trash. So I thought I'd save you the trouble and crumple this up and put it in the trash can for you. But I wanted to mail it to you anyway, just in case." And so and she got through. She got her appointment that she was looking for with the new person. It was one of those things where the gatekeeper said, "Oh yeah, I know." I forget if it was a he or a she. "I know he got it. Let's look at the schedule and see what we can do for you." So I mean, it's the phone. Hearing that question I love, because in the B2B world, it's exactly what we teach our customers to do. And in the B2C world, again, there's a little bit more red tape there, but if you got permission, man, do the call.
Great. And just one more question that came in, because I know we're running out of time here. What is the best way to segment your list when you advise people to segment their list?
Yeah, that's something that would be different for each business. The obvious ways. So I'm going to assume this is an in-house list, because if we're going to purchase a list, we can segment all those ways beforehand, and there's so many different ways to segment it that, I mean, there's, we do some list reselling, and there's like 250 different selects we can get into. So if you're going to go that way, age, income, gender, whether they have a house, whether they have kids, whether they're empty nesters. I'll give you an example in the purchase list world, and then we'll go to the in-house list world. In the purchase list world, I work with quite a few dentists, and a dentist has really two different segments that they really want, right? They want the empty nester, baby boomer senior, because they've got different dental needs, and in most cases expensive dental needs, right? They need replacements, they need crowns, they need whatever. So they've got different dental needs, and they need expensive ones. The other segment that they like to go after is families with young children, right? Because once you get mom in, once you get dad in, then you get the other three members of the household, right? And so those are two very different people. So we send them very different messages. The family, usually to the mom, right? Because let's face it, moms make most of those decisions. So we'll find a list of people making over $75,000 a year. We know they have health insurance. They've got 2 kids under 5 in the house. And the message for them is, now is the time to set a good example for your kids, for healthy gums and teeth and yada, 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 and you play up to the kids. With the seniors and boomers, it's a different message. It's, as you age, you run into certain problems that you may not have run into 10 or 15 years ago. You may have, bleeding of the gums. You may have yada, yada, yada. And so those types, so at the real basic level, that's what we want to do. Now for an in-house list, so we can do it by what they've purchased, what they haven't purchased, whether they only buy on sales. So let's not on sales, on sale items. And hopefully you're keeping track of all this. Again, the real basic is they bought peanut butter and not jelly, and vice versa. Leads versus actual buyers. Buyers should be getting different messages than leads. So if you do lead generation, they should be getting a different message. In most cases, the leads should, again, a big broad statement, the leads should be getting more enticing offers, because you got to get them in the first time. So maybe they raise their hand, but they haven't bought yet. But so once they buy, you got them. With your in-house list of people who are already buying, it may be not. You may not have to give up the farm as much. Hopefully, you don't have to give up the farm as much, right? We do a lot of lost client work, so that's one. So, and what by lost clients, I mean people who have been a customer of yours and have now stopped for whatever reason, and that number is different for everybody. So the chiropractor, they want to see you once a month. So once you don't come in the second month, you're lost. The dentist wants to see you every 6 months. So once 7 months hit, you don't come in, you're lost. For us in our retail world, once they have an order for 12 months, we consider them lost. Because if they're still open, they still have a retail store, they need something that we have sold them. So, or they need something that we can offer for them to even operate. At the very least, they need cash register tape, right? So at the very least, they need that if they're ringing up sales. So all kinds of ways to slice and dice it. If you're working on your clients with that, it's going to vary with each customer. But those are the kind of the big mountaintop, big, broad, 20,000-foot snapshot ones. So one of the resources I wanted to make available to you guys here on the call today, and one that Sherry up there wanted, she found out about this and wanted us to make sure that you at least knew about it, and it's what we call our 3D Mail Sample Kit and Sales Explosion System. And basically what it is here is it's a complete how-to kit for 3D mail. And what's included is some really good reports. First one is why 3D mail gets such great results, tips for creating a successful 3D mail campaign, why premiums and free gifts enhance your results. This is something we didn't even really get a chance to talk about today, but one of the things that we talk a lot about, one of the services that we offer is free gifts and premiums, and again, we don't have a ton of time to get into that, but it's, think Estee Lauder free gift with purchase, think that, but it works with a wide variety of businesses. It's more than just cosmetic counter stuff, so don't think it's way more than that. Trust me. It's about a 12-page report on how to do it. Really what we get with that is how you can use them to not discount. So instead of discounting, you offer free gifts or premiums, and they actually end up costing you substantially less than a discount you would maybe normally give. So you keep your margins up, which is where we all want to be, but it's a great report on that. I know there was, during the Q&A, there were some questions about, the letters and stuff. So we actually put together a report called the Top 13 Mistakes in Preparing a Sales Letter. This kind of was birthed from, we do a lot of critiquing. And as I mentioned on the call that my father and I run this business, as we were critiquing, we found that, okay, there's these 8 mistakes people make. Okay, now it's 12. And we kind of got these 13 mistakes that people often make. And so we hit on those, and we tell you what the top 13 mistakes so you don't make them. Another great resource for you here is the 350 best headlines ever written. Headlines, those of you that aren't, real big students of copywriting, the best headlines, most of them have been around for years and years and years, if not decades. And so all of these are the tested, proven ones that have worked. I think one of them goes back to the 1920s. Again, if there's any direct mail buffs out there, they all laughed at me when. And so if you don't know direct mail, you've never heard of that. But if you know it, you've heard it, and you're probably chuckling to yourself as well. We also have the evolution of a $10 million 3D mail campaign. I mentioned that we grew our first business, American Retail Supply, using 3D mail, and it has generated actually over $10 million. So it's our evolution of a $10 million 3D mail campaign. It's the stuff that we've been doing for years and years and years to get new. This isn't existing client stuff. This is to get new people into the hopper. So very cool piece. It's worked very well for us for almost 2 decades now. So that's volume 1. Volume 2 is actually the 3D mail swipe file. And what we've created is 207 sales letters using all 39 of our different products that we have. So it's 207 letters. This is a hard copy. So if you look at that picture in your upper right-hand corner, volume 1 is the one on the left. Volume 2 now is hard copies of all 207 sales letters that we've created. These are letters that we've tested, letters that have been mailed. Most of them have been written by my father and I, Keith. A good majority of them also are from our clients who actually said, hey, I wrote this letter, it kicked butt, feel free to put it in your system. So there's 207 at last count, and I'll be honest with you, we're always adding to it. So there's 207 at last count. You also get a digital swipe file of all those, so you get 207 letters in Microsoft Word doc on a CD. So you don't have to recreate the wheel, you don't have to take the hard copies and reprint them. You simply go in, find the letter, and it's already in a Word doc. You can just literally put in your information, hit print. It works very, very well. I also have a guarantee on this. I don't sell anything without a guarantee. 100% money back guarantee. If you're not delighted whatsoever with the system in any way, shape, or form for up to a year, if it's too hard to navigate, if you don't like the cover, if it sits on your shelf for 363 days, give me a call. We'll get you your money back. If you get it and you don't want it, I want you to have your money back. It's not an issue for me. And then for the action coaches, this is something we don't do very often, but I do it with groups that I know that won't take advantage of it, and I know enough of the action coaches now that it's all in the up and up. But we actually offer a triple money-back guarantee for 12 months. And again, we don't do this for everybody. It's mainly just for the groups where we feel real comfortable that won't take advantage of it. But this one's pretty strong. Use any of the letters in the 3D mail system as the basis for your letter for your prospect or client, and call them a year later and ask if they remember it. If they don't remember it, and you could actually show me that you mailed it, I mean, I don't require much. Just here's the letter, here's the date I mailed it. I'll give you triple your money back. I've had people try to take me up on this. They've actually called me and said, hey, I called a guy, and they remembered it. So I'm a believer now. so I'm glad they tried to take me up on it. I've never done it. I haven't had to give the money back yet. I'm more than happy to if someone wants to try to take me up on that. All of that, if you added it up together, it'd be over $2,800. Good through July 3rd. It's right before the 4th here in the U.S. I know we got a lot of coaches outside of the U.S., but if you're by July 3rd at AC, so Action Coach, AC3dmail.com. That's a landing page you can go to get even more details than what I just went through there. You can order it online there, and that's the resource that we got for you. So I hope that's what you expected. I hope it sounds like a good deal for you. And go ahead and check out that link if you want more info. And then you can also contact us there if you need to as well. So thanks, Steve. That's all I got.